This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You all are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is March 2nd, 2026. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Kevin Tucker. Kevin, what's going on?
Yo, Jonathan. This week, your Orlando Magic, in the 2 games back home since the West Coast road trip, are undefeated in first halves. They have been... I'm just so happy about our first half performances. So I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, 1 second. That's how I am. We're going red. Wow. For the first time in a long time. The backlight is red. Red alert. DEFCON 1. Whatever you want to call it. I am just like... You ever see the movie Click with Adam Sandler?
I can't help it.
Oh, I'm blue.
This is like Willy Wonka, like your Veruca Salt.
Violet, you're turning violet.
Violet, yeah, violet.
Well,
That's what it is. Violet Beauregard.
I guess I got to turn it back because it doesn't.
Violet, you're turning violet. Yeah.
Yeah. Why is that? It's very, dude. Now I'm like completely blue.
This is insane. Your camera's going crazy, bro.
Really does not appreciate, I guess, what I did. No. Now I'm going to turn the lights off.
It's coming back. You're coming back. You're coming back. Don't worry.
The blood is returning to my face.
This is off the rails so fast already. Yeah. That's amazing.
And the audio, you all might notice the audio is not, to usual standards. Something's going on with my audio equipment that we can't seem to figure out. It seems like I've got to get my little audio interface video thing fixed. But yeah, you ever seen Click with Adam Sandler?
Yes,
where he just is able to fast forward through the unpleasant parts of his life. I'm kind of ready to fast forward to the end of this season. Because I think we all kind of know the inevitable end that we are headed towards. Most likely another first round loss. If we make it to the playoffs. I don't think it's likely, but I'm not completely ruling out the possibility that this team could end up in the play-in and lose, 1 or 2 games and their season just end. Especially when you look at some of the teams, if we, end up playing, like Miami or Philadelphia in some way, a 7-8 game, and then we end up, playing Charlotte in a do or die game. I'm not excited for the prospects of that whatsoever. And I know we're jumping a little bit ahead here, but most people who are still listening to the show at this point in the season, everything that has gone on, they are the diehards, the people who are on the day-to-day with this team. They know exactly what's going on, and they are coming back here to either relive that for some weird reason because you are a masochist, or you just want to come here and vent and hear people be frustrated about the things that you're frustrated about. So we don't need to bury the lead here. The Magic have lost both of the games in the homestand since they've returned home. Since our last episode. And to me, it's just it's very evident that although this team has been improved since the All-Star break, there's not a switch that is going to be flipped at any point. I just don't know how much room there is for this team to the upside for the rest of the season. And I don't think that we were in any way naively expecting this team to just have this massive turnaround to end the season. But maybe we were holding out hope at least for that a little bit, but we're seeing improvement, but we're not seeing enough improvement to really feel confident about what this team can achieve the rest of the season. At least that is how I feel. That's kind of where I am tonight as you and I sit here and talk about this Magic team.
Yeah, I'm admittedly a little conflicted. I was going to wait for later in the show to bring this up because it's going to be controversial. And I don't want people to turn off the show at the very beginning because I say something controversial. But obviously, very, very disappointed about these 2 games. Don't get me wrong. These are 2 of the best teams in the league, the Houston Rockets and the Detroit Pistons. Okay, that's statement 1. Statement 2, I was joking earlier, but I'm also serious. The first half, Orlando Magic in both of these games, just follow me, please.
No, you're I'm not disagreeing. You're 100% right.
They were impressive, especially against Houston. That first half and the beginning of the third quarter, borderline elite, like really, really good. And then tonight against Detroit, good enough against the best team in the league right now. So part of me wants to latch onto that and go, look what's possible, right? The hard part is we also all watched the 2 second halves where they were different collapses, but they were both collapses. And so it's very much like, and of course, because of the second half, that's the taste you have in your mouth, when the game's over, right? Like how they finished both of those games. Very, very disappointing. I know we'll talk a little more specifically about each one. For me, I actually hated the Houston loss more than the Pistons loss.
Right.
Like that was just a gut punch. That was awful.
Up there with the worst loss of the season.
Yeah. The Toronto game is the other one that comes to mind. Is that up there on your list, that game?
The Toronto
the 21 point lead in Toronto, that was awful.
Yeah, if I just go back, let's see. I mean, obviously, like the OKC game comes to mind, but that's kind of a different level, of loss in that one. The game that we were at in London, that definitely up there for me.
That was a bad one.
And then like we've had plenty of just like close calls, like throughout like games that you ended up winning that kind of felt like a loss. But yeah, I think those are in some way or another, those are all kind of like top 5-ish losses of the year. And the Houston one, especially just because you were playing so well, literally looked like you were minutes away from putting the game out of reach. Those guys playing a home away back-to-back in the Houston Rockets, completely dismantling a Kings team the night before, but most of their guys outside of KD still played like 30-plus minutes in that game for some reason. And you go from like, okay, hey, you play another like 5 minutes of like even basketball with this team. Like you don't have to continue to outplay them, but you just play like 5 more minutes of basketball. They're probably going to just pack it in and chalk it up as a loss. And then we'll get into like the details of that game. But yeah, like these 2 second halves have been bitter because of, yes, you played so well in the first half. And then it's like, well, the good teams are able to respond to stuff like that, where like right now, if the Magic are down 19 in the third quarter, they're not coming back and winning the game. Like that's kind of just, it is what it is. The Magic, if the Magic had a free throw discrepancy the way that the Pistons did in the first half, they're not down 6, they're down 15 or 20, and they're letting it affect the rest of their game, and they're getting blown out by 25 instead of like coming back and winning that game. So the 2 losses to me were just kind of like reminders of like, yeah, we're nowhere near these teams right now. Just overall, like you 100%. Can say like, yeah, we hung with them for a half or whatever. The games are 48 minutes long, and like the good teams they just like find ways to win games. And lately when the Magic are finding ways to win games, it's a shooting aberration in which they make a franchise record amount of threes, which they're one of the best shooting, one of the worst shooting teams in the league, or they're like scratching and clawing and beating like average LA teams, or they're barely beating Utah and beating Milwaukee and beating Brooklyn. Like I'm trying to think back to like the true last like impressive like dominant win that the Magic have had. I think probably the most recent like really impressive win that the Magic had was the win over the Raptors. Like and that's not to necessarily take away from like the Clippers win and the Lakers win, like 2 wins that we were really happy about. Both of those felt like some of the better wins on the season, but like nobody is saying that like the Clippers or the Lakers are like contending or like in the upper echelon of the league, especially like the Clippers since the moves that they've made. Maybe if it was a couple weeks ago you would, but it every time we start to get our hopes up even a little bit, they give us reason to at least like pause and be like, okay, well, hey, if we beat Houston and we beat Detroit tonight, we'd be on here screaming from the rooftops that the Magic are back. But instead, we're talking about like two super disappointing losses at home, which like, deep into this game, like into the third quarter, you were like fully in control of these games. And then you can't score and you can't get stops for the entire of these third quarters, really. And that ultimately ends up being the difference in both of those games. And I'm just sitting here and like, it just feels like we're headed for an inevitable end to this season that we can all see coming. And we might be trying to do like the mental jujitsu of like, oh, maybe this, maybe that, Franz comes back, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't want to say that stuff is impossible, but to me, it's like less than 20% chance that we come out of this season and like, hey, the first 95% of this season was terrible, but at the end, we still kind of achieved what we wanted to achieve. I have a really hard time seeing us get to that point.
Yeah, that feels almost impossible. But I did did a little bit of math. Magic were outscored by a combined 36 points in the second half of these two games. So not great. I'm no expert, but that's not great to be outscored by 36 in two second halves. That's pretty bad.
What were the third quarters? That's what I want to know.
Third quarters,
pretty brutal.
Thursday was 38-27, so 11 points, and tonight was 31-18, 13. So you got outscored by 11. Did I said 11 and 13, so 24. You got outscored by 24 in the two third quarters. Not great. Not great.
Okay, we're going to take a quick pause here before we jump back into the specifics of these games. First of all, just a reminder, this Saturday when the Magic take on the Wolves in Minnesota on NBA Prime, on Amazon Prime, that game's going to tip off at 3 o'clock. We're going to be at Stadium Club inside Caribe Royale in Orlando, the resort there. That party's going to get jumping about 2:30. If you plan on coming, you want to get a table, be sure to go to Open Table, make a reservation. That link will be in the show notes if you're listening on audio. It'll also be in the YouTube description if you're watching this on YouTube. We also have 6 tickets left to the first 60 in the Court of Dreams experience for April 1st when the Magic take on the Hawks at 7:30. Earlier that day from 1:30 to 3, we'll be playing some pickup basketball on the Kia Center floor. Again, first 60 to purchase tickets to that game will also get access to the Court of Dreams. So the link to that, again, going to be in the show notes and in the YouTube description here. Little bit of Magic news. Anthony Black was named this year's Rich and Helen DeVos Community Enrichment Award for his work in the Orlando community. So a big shout out to Anthony Black for winning that and for all the great work that not only him, but he and his entire family really do in the Orlando community. So big shout out to them. And this episode was brought to you by Jacob Giamo, who is our newest patron. And then Armin, DC Magic, Goaty 93, Maria, Sir Sundown. These are some of our Hall of Fame and elite tier patrons. They went to patreon.com/the Six Man Show, picked the tier that worked best for them. And then whenever we have brand new patrons, we give them a special shout out. So again, shout out to Jacob Giamo, who joined our elite tier. Really appreciate you joining. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. If we didn't, please let us know. We always want to make sure that we get that kind of stuff right. But we can't do any of this without our patrons. So if you appreciate what we do here, if you value the content, the best way to support that is, again, to go to patreon.com/the Six Man Show. Pick the tier that works best for you. Kevin, let's go ahead and get into this week's state of the Magic. Right now, your Orlando Magic, after Sunday's loss to the Pistons, are now 31-28, 14 games back of the Pistons, who have the best win percentage in the league right now. We are 8 games back of Boston, who now they are the 2 seed. 7 games back of New York. We are 5.5 games back of Cleveland, 3.5 games back of Toronto, 2 games back of Philadelphia. Tied with Miami, but we have 1 up on them in the loss column. And then we are 1.5 games up on the Hawks, 2 games up on the Charlotte Hornets. The Bucks are 5 games back, so they're 3 games back of the 10 seed. Could they catch? I guess I don't really know exactly the status with Giannis and if and when he's coming back and what that's going to look like. I'm sure maybe they would like to get a lottery pick. Don't really know. But yeah, Magic are still right there in the 7 seed, fighting for their lives, on a nightly basis. They're hopping anywhere between 7 and 8 right now, trying to get back up to 6 as we go through the last 23 games. I think of the season is what is remaining. And NBA.com has not updated after tonight's game just yet. Coming into Sunday's game against the Pistons, your Orlando Magic were 17th in the league in offensive rating and 13th in the league in defensive rating, 16th in overall net rating. After the All-Star break, let me go ahead and just do a quick refresh on this, make sure that this has not updated, and it has not. So we're just going to take a look at the post All-Star break numbers coming into Sunday night. The Orlando Magic were 21st in offensive rating after the All-Star break, 8th in defensive rating, and 14th in net rating. So defense is playing a little bit better, but the offense has kind of regressed back to where it was prior to the All-Star break. Taking a look at the injury report, mostly the same. Still no Franz Wagner. I think we have another week and a half-ish at this point. I think, this Wednesday will be 2 weeks since the initial report, and they said it'll be reevaluated at 3. We won't necessarily hear something at that 3-week mark. Hopefully we do, because, you'll really be getting close to the end of the season there, but Franz Wagner is still out. And then I think it was Thursday's game. Anthony Black left kind of holding the hip-ish area, had a little bit of a limp to him. And then we heard early Sunday that Anthony Black was questionable with the right quad contusion, which Jamal Mosley said he's really been dealing with for quite some time now. But something happened on Thursday. I don't remember if he fell or collided with another player, but came up kind of holding that area. And basically, it just has gotten to the point where he was questionable for this game. Ended up missing the game on Sunday against the Pistons. He was ruled out before that one. So that's something that we're going to continue to keep an eye on, obviously, as we get into the next week here. Magic are off Monday, and then they'll play Washington on Tuesday. But we should hear something by 4:30, I believe 5:30 on Monday, the injury report ahead of that game. I would expect him probably still to be questionable, and then we'll hear and see if he's ready to go on Tuesday, Kevin.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that one. I would say he was missed tonight, which he was, but I don't even think Anthony Black would have saved us alone tonight against the Pistons, but who knows?
I mean, we'll talk specifically about that game. Really quickly, I wanted to talk about that Houston game again. Yeah. To your point, Magic were incredible in that first half. They led by as much as 19, and they were up 19 with, I think, 4 or 5 minutes left in that third quarter, if I'm remembering correctly, before Houston just went on a incredible run, 21-0 before I think it was Mo Wagner threw in a layup. I think it was to tie the game at 83, was it? I forget exactly what it was. But your Orlando Magic, they score 17 in that fourth quarter on the way to the 106-92 loss. Per Magic Film Room on Twitter, this was the 10th loss for the Magic this season, where they have led by at least 10 points in a game. So 10 of their now 28 losses this season, they've had at least a 10-point lead. And he followed that up, and because I asked him, how does this compare to the rest of the league? He said it's tied for 6th highest, but 4 out of the top 5 teams are lottery teams. So we're up there with the worst teams in the league when it comes to losing double-digit losses this year. And when we go back to early in the season, right, the Portland game where you felt to be in control most of that game. Portland comes back. Desmond Bane hits the 3 to win that game. I think about the Utah game as well. Desmond Bane hits the game winner in Utah. That does track kind of with the amount of conversations we've had this year about this game was pretty much in hand, and the Magic either still found a way to win it at the very end, and it was way closer than it needed to be, or they had a lead and they blew it. And if we consider those games where the Magic had a lead and were able to just kind of hang on at the end. I think there's a chance that this could have been 13 to 15 losses in games where you held at least a 10-point lead. So for whatever reason, like, and this is nothing new, like, especially I think was it 2 or 3 years ago, maybe even last year as well, where like I think it was partly last year where the Magic just struggled mightily in third quarters. That's been a trend, throughout the season. And that definitely was a massive factor in these last 2 losses. And when you see that, it's just like, yeah, that kind of tracks with what we've seen this year.
Yeah. I think, like you said, it's happened many times this season in different forms, but what hurt the most, or maybe just what shocked the most with Thursday's collapse, was it was a 21-point swing in less than 4 minutes. It happened like that. It was like blink and you couldn't believe. Like I think it was actually Mark Abraham, sponsor of the Postgame Live, who said that, I'm pretty sure it was him, right? He said he went to the restroom. He brought his son to the restroom. We were up 19. Brought him to the restroom and came back, and it was like a 2-possession game. Like that fast. Like insane. And I think that's just kind of what shell-shocked me. And you could see it on the Magic bench too. Like that they were stunned. Like legitimately stunned. But unfortunately, the stats don't lie. This is something that the team, again, not as extreme as Thursday. Thursday was a very extreme example, but this is unfortunately a trend that I wish we could look back on the season and go, oh yeah, this was the Achilles heel of this team. But unfortunately, this trend is just lined up with a bunch of other trends that have been poor this year. Like I don't know. It's really, really tough. But yeah, Thursday in particular was really, really tough pill to swallow. It's time for this week's Jam Hot Chicken Jam of the Week. And this week's Jam Hot Chicken Jam of the Week comes courtesy of Paolo Banchero in Los Angeles Tuesday night against the Lakers with just over 8 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Anthony Black is the inbounder, finds a wide open Paolo who throws it down with 2 hands with authority. You can't leave Paolo that open under the rim because that's what he's going to do. Again, Paolo threw it down with authority as he usually does, although sometimes he had some missed dunks this year, but that's not what this segment is about. This segment is about our friends at Jam Hot Chicken, who are bringing jams, culture, and hot chicken to the heart of Winter Park and now to Winter Garden as well. If you want more information about Jam Hot Chicken, you can find them on their website at jamhotchickenfl.com, which, by the way, newly redesigned and updated. It looks great. Go check out their new website. Of course, you can follow them on social media at Jam Hot Chicken. Especially love on Instagram because I feel like I can smell and taste the food when I see them posted on Instagram. It's just that good. We love Jam Hot Chicken because they make the best chicken in Central Florida, and they are die-hard Orlando Magic fans who love this fan community. They love you guys so much, they've given you a code that you can use at checkout, whether you're checking out online or you're checking out in person. Use code SIXTHMAN. That's SIXTHMAN, and they will give you 10% off your order at either location, Winter Garden, Winter Park, every time, doesn't matter, 10%. They're awesome. Again, they love Magic fans. So big shout out to the amazing team over at Jam Hot Chicken. And when you go, just let them know that the Six Man Show sent you.
This episode is also brought to you by the Posit Group. They are the official real estate sponsor of our show, but also the official real estate sponsor of the Orlando Magic this year. They are your home team on and off the court, your Orlando real estate resource of choice. They're the most followed real estate brand in Central Florida and Orlando. And it's not all about their social media. They have real tangible reviews, 1,700 plus 5-star reviews, and that is growing each and every day. They're impacting lives through real estate. You might have noticed interest rates are starting to come down a little bit, so this might be the perfect time to buy a home. Whether you're looking to buy a home or maybe you're looking to sell a home, maybe you're looking to downsize, Maybe you want to sell your home, maybe have some extra money for some Orlando Magic season tickets. Whatever your needs are, the Posit Group is there to help. Posit Group agents outsell the competition by 5 times, and they're in the top 1% of sales in the United States. So by those metrics, not only are they one of, if not the best real estate group in the Orlando market, but really nationwide. So maybe you're living in Duluth, Minnesota. For whatever reason you want to move to Orlando, reach out to the Pozik Group. You can find them at pozek.com, pozek.com. They don't only support the Orlando Magic team, but they support this podcast and the Orlando Magic community. Whatever your real estate needs are, nobody is better suited to handle them than Ken and his team. So again, if you're in the real estate market, whatever your needs are, reach out to the Posit Group. Let them know that the guys over at the Six Man Show sent you. And now let's go ahead and get back to our episode. Well, the offense in that third was spearheaded by Kevin Durant and Reed Sheppard, who had 12 and 11 points respectively. And that was really the story for the entire game. Kevin Durant ends up with 40, Reed Sheppard with 20. And those were the two guys like holding the nails. One of them was holding the nail. The other was holding the hammer that entire second half, just nail after nail in the Magic's coffin. And unfortunately, one other guy that contributed to that was in a Magic uniform. And this is a guy who is very near and dear to our hearts. But this third quarter in particular was one of, if not the worst quarter I've seen Jalen Suggs play, like really since his rookie year. Played, let's see how many minutes it was in that third quarter. Yeah, he played 3 minutes, 45 seconds in that third and was a minus 19. It just truly, I hate to put the blame on one guy, and it wasn't 100% on Jalen. There were 4 other guys on the floor like at that time, but it was at least 75% on Jalen Suggs. Like, gets thrown to the floor, doesn't get the call. There's I think it was a TV timeout, or Jamal Mosley called a timeout. Gets a technical, upset that he didn't get the call, and then has 3, like, I believe they were back-to-back turnovers from Jalen. And the reason that I don't want to pile on Jalen, for the entire game and the way that he played, just coming back from injury, right? But just for the first time in a while, it felt like he just let his emotions get the best of him and was on the floor for the run that just completely submarined this game for the Magic. And you heard Stan Van Gundy, because this game was on Prime, I believe it was. You heard Stan Van Gundy like a minute into this run with Jalen say, like, they've got to get Suggs off the floor. And Jamal didn't take Jalen out for like another, 2 minutes, maybe it was, which was frustrating. But where I am, and look, please feel free to disagree with anything that we ever say on this podcast. What I'm really getting sick and tired of, because it's every episode, is people accusing us of like just blindly defending guys, which I promise you that does not ever happen on this show. You can disagree with us without thinking that we're just some like organizational like shills for the Magic or for some of these players. Like, just agree to disagree. Call us stupid, whatever you want. Just don't accuse us of trying to defend these guys, because that's really not what it is. But I do understand Jamal Mosley giving Jalen Suggs the benefit of the doubt, because it's been at least 3-4 years since we've seen Jalen play this poorly in a game in that short order. So I can see where Jamal is like, okay, well, this obviously like can't continue. Like, he's going to pull himself up out of this any moment now, because typically when Jalen Suggs is on the floor, he makes some mistakes, but overwhelmingly, like, he just makes winning plays, and he didn't do that in this game. I get everybody's frustration. I see both sides of it, of like, yes, Jamal has to recognize this a little bit better, switch some things up, get the guy out of the game who is, submarining your lead, while also trying to give one of your best players the benefit of the doubt, a guy who's just coming back from injury. I see both sides of that. I don't think it's all Jamal Mosley, all Jalen Suggs, whatever. And the other thing that I want to say really quickly about Jalen Suggs is as much as we love him, as much as he impacts winning, this is one of the first years, and maybe it's because everything else that's been going on, it feels a bit more poignant this year. But him being just in and out of the lineup basically constantly this year, he's never really been able to get into a true offensive rhythm at any point this year.
True.
We haven't really been like, oh, look at the last 7-8 games. Like Jalen's really like come into his own. He's been like super up and down. Like the Oklahoma City game, he was amazing. He had another couple of games where he was stringing like, 8, 9, 10, 11, double-digit assists together. It was like, okay, he's doing really well. And then immediately after that, he's out of the lineup. Now he's back. He's trying to get, the shooting rhythm back. He's trying to get his offensive rhythm back and everything like that. And it's just been a super up and down season for Jalen Suggs. And I don't want to come back and just like pile on him, about this one game. But if like we quickly look ahead to tonight, like there was a point in the game, I think he was like 3 of 6 from deep to start the game against Detroit, ended up 4 of 13. And a lot of that came at the end of the game. He's kind of forcing things, trying to get them back into that game, and it was too little too late. But I know like we just had to have the Jalen Suggs conversation or people were going to be all over it. Cause like, let's be fair. Like it was the biggest factor in my opinion to what happened in that third quarter.
It certainly was. Like I if someone wants to argue with that, then we were watching a different sport.
Go back and watch the game and come back.
Yeah.
And if you still disagree, just accept that you're wrong because you are.
Yeah, that was, again, that's part of why that stretch was so shocking, is because this is a guy that we all know and love and value, and he's just been a winner everywhere he's gone, and especially the last couple of years when he's been healthy, we've won when he's been playing. And so to have him be the catalyst for that stretch was really, really surprising, because it was almost like, at least in the beginning, he had those mistakes, but you're like, okay, that's done. He's going to get it right. He's going to get sorted. And then you turn the ball over and you're like, what, again? And then you're like, okay, that's got to be it now, right? And he turned the ball over again. Just that whole stretch was just really, really surprising. What I thought was interesting, and I don't think this is a coincidence, Jonathan. We were joking in our chat earlier. Dude turned around and shaved his head for the first time. Like I say that jokingly, all the way. I say that jokingly.
Like he took Kevin's whole flow.
That's right. We're twins now, he and I. Except he's got to get a better beard. I say that jokingly, but
I said that, and then you made a joke. We won't. Anyways.
Well, I'm saying the whole thing with Jalen, like I'm not even really joking. I wouldn't be surprised if he was so beat up, like he himself was so beat up about Thursday that he was like, you know what? I need a fresh start. I need to do something to mix it up. Whatever mentality you think maybe he may have taken. And he just decided to cut it all off and go with a fresh look, try to have a fresh start. And that just seems like a very Jalen thing to do, right? Like
100%.
Just to be so disgusted with how he performed on Thursday to have to do something to mix it up. So I just thought that was interesting. I don't think that's a coincidence, but maybe it is.
I don't think so at all.
Yeah.
I think you're right on it.
Yeah. So, but anyway, still love Jalen, still back him, still, all those things, but he absolutely, undoubtedly cost the team the lead, obviously. The thing that's tricky about this game is the Magic actually bounced back okay at the start of the fourth. Like, they got back in the lead in the fourth quarter, but the problem was they were never, ever even close to back to the same swag and confidence that they had in the first 2.5 quarters. And so that disappeared with the lead in the third, and the Magic were just never the same. Even though they got back in the game, they took the lead, they fell apart again late in the fourth. And again, they were just never the same after that stretch in the third.
Yeah, and let's see, they scored how many in the fourth quarter?
32
28 points. Yeah, 28 points. Like, not amazing, but like good enough. Like, you just can't give up a 38-point third quarter in which you give up a 21-0 run. I think that's probably the biggest run that the Magic have given up all year, if I'm not mistaken.
For sure.
And like really what that second half turned into was like Kevin Durant doing Kevin Durant things, making awesome shots, but also just how many times are we going to leave Reed Shepherd open?
Awful.
And that was really like the backbreaker. I think he hit a three to put them up 7 with about like a minute. It felt like the Magic still had a chance. And then Paolo kind of helps off of Reed Shepherd a little bit too much. He knocks down the 3, puts him up either 7 or 9 with either a minute or 2 minutes to go. And you're like, okay, yeah, this one's over. The Magic are not gonna, be able to win this one, which, it wasn't Paolo's definitely the best shooting game of the season, but like 9 assists to 0 turnovers. Like that just has to be a game that you win and you waste another Desmond Bane heater, 30 points, 12 of 19, 6 of 10 from deep, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. He was fantastic. Javon Carter was really good, 14 points, 4 of 9 from deep for him. Like those to me were like the 2 guys that really like shine the brightest for the Magic in that one. Wendell was pretty good, 6 of 8, 6 rebounds, 1 assist. So he ended up with 16 points in 27 minutes. But yeah, like really it just came down to like Kevin Durant, Reed Shepherd, and then Alperen Şengün, who like the Magic did a pretty good job on for the most part. Like in the second half, he just started to knock down a lot of the shots he was missing in the first half. So yeah, it's just that fourth quarter and the fact that 13 to 21 at the free throw line in a game that you lose by 5, you miss 8 free throws, that kind of hurts. So yeah, this was one of the more frustrating and disappointing losses of the season, and unfortunately we're at the point of the year where, because of the circumstances and because of the regular season, like you're kind of running out of time, where every loss just hurts that much more, because you're like, yeah, we just don't have too many more opportunities to get wins. And when you have a double-digit second half lead at home, you just have to find a way to win that game, like no matter who the opponent is. Like, because to me, people can say, oh, well, it's only 10 points, whatever, you're playing really good teams. But when you have a double-digit lead that deep into the game, that is indicative that up to that point, like you have outplayed the other team for 30 plus whatever minutes. Like, you just got to keep doing what you've been doing, stick with it. And, even if you're scratching and clawing out wins, like, a win is a win, especially like had the Magic found a way to just like win this game, like would I probably been annoyed a little bit? Like, sure, but I would just much rather have the win. And same thing, against Detroit. So really it came down to that third quarter, and you can't have quarters like that and win games, especially against good teams.
Yeah. I think that's probably the big difference between the 2 games for me. The Houston one, you obviously had a bigger lead, but also like you said earlier, the Magic were in control, cruising in that game. Against the Pistons, you got the lead, but because the Magic were actually shooting the ball okay through that first half, when the Magic had the lead, that the lead never felt comfortable, right? Like, at least to me. Maybe you felt differently, but I was very, very different than the Houston game. The Houston game, we were cruising, and I felt like
we were like 5 minutes away from that game being over. 100%. And this one obviously never felt over.
Never felt over. No, not even close. I honestly felt like we were lucky to be in the lead, or at least maybe have the size lead that we had. I attributed a lot to, again, the 3-point shooting, because the Magic statistically did not play well enough to have a lead against the Pistons with the number of offensive rebounds they gave up. I know I'm merging games here, but just talking about the difference between the two. They gave up a ton of offensive rebounds to the Pistons early in this one. They turned the ball over a lot. The Pistons just could not buy a 3. They started like 0 of 15 from 3 or something like that. But again, compared to Thursday, which is what I'm getting at, the Magic destroyed the Rockets at some of the things that the Rockets are very good at, namely offensive rebounds. Magic had 15 offensive rebounds in the first half of that Rockets game. That's absurd. That's crazy, especially against the Rockets, who are the best offensive rebounding team in the league. Again, they were beating them in just about every facet of the game through 2.5 quarters. And that's why the collapse was just whiplash, like just total 180 experience from the first 2.5 quarters to the last quarter and a half.
Totally agree. Yep. That again, it's going to be one of the many losses we look back on and say, hey, like that was one that you could have had. And, now it feels like we've got a dozen of these games this year where you just feel like the Magic gave one away. And, at this point in the season, like even if let's say it is a dozen, maybe I'm exaggerating. Let's call it 10. Like 10's probably a safe number. And let's say you even win 5 of those. Right now, you're 36-23 instead of 31 and 28, and you would be the 5th seed in the East right now if that was your record.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
I said it in the post game hit, and we've talked about it at different times, but this entire season just feels like a wasted opportunity. Like it feels like a wasted season. It feels like a lost season. And I think ultimately that's how this season is going to be remembered, that the Magic did have an opportunity, as good as some of these other teams have been, right? Like Boston, no Jason Tatum, they're still 39-20. If they had Jason Tatum, I think everybody agrees Boston would probably, at worst, they'd be right where they are. They might even be the best team in the league, the number 1 seed in the East.
Yeah.
And then the Indiana Pacers, they're probably going to end up with like a top 4 pick, and they're going to get Tyrese Halliburton. I do think there was some kind of like flash in the paniness to their finals run. I think they're going to be good. That's probably not a correct
flash
term.
in the pan is, but making it an adjective was great. I think it's awesome. Yeah. Anyway,
Thanks.
Carry on.
I think they'll be really good. I don't expect Indiana to come back and be like a top 2 seed in the East next year.
Yeah.
Like freezing cold, take me later. But like again, the East isn't quite as open as I think everybody felt like at the beginning of the season. Like Detroit's had a meteoric rise. Boston has still been a lot better than people expected with Tatum out. The Knicks, Cavs are right about where people thought they were. I think the Raptors are a lot better than people thought they were going to be. 76ers are kind of around where we thought they could be, like 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. But we thought the Magic would be, 2, 3, 4 in the East instead. And so, like we're just going to look back on this. And I just can't really escape this feeling of, like, I don't want to come up with like a morbid analogy here, but it just feels like something is coming that we're heading towards, and there's nothing that we can do about it. It just, there's an inevitability to this season for me that I keep hoping that we're going to be able to put together a stretch. We're like, oh, okay, like, look, things are, and every time we're starting to get there, it's like you're taking one step forward and you're taking at least one step back and staying right where you are, if not, sliding back a little bit. And if the Magic don't take, we'll talk about the week ahead in a little bit here, but the Magic don't take advantage of, some of the games that they should be able to win this year, or this week, excuse me, like they legitimately could find themselves like in 8-9 spot in the East a week from now. But let's talk a little bit about this Pistons game. It definitely just overall had a different feel from the Rockets game, where like the Magic had as much as, what was it? Yeah, it was a 9-point lead in this one, but never just like totally felt in control. For me, like the first half, the free throws being as lopsided as they were was a little bit of a red flag going into the second half, because we knew that it wasn't going to be quite the same. Like in that first half, the Magic, their free throw advantage was 22-14. Paolo Banchero had 14 free throw attempts in the first half. He had 2 free throw attempts in the second half. I do think there was a little bit of a different whistle. I'm not like blaming that, the game on this by any means. The Magic shot 23 threes in the second half. I thought that was the biggest factor of them not continuing to get to the free throw line, and really a lot of their offensive struggles in the second half. But also, like, Cade Cunningham was a lot better in the second half. Tobias Harris was, pretty much near unstoppable in that second half for Detroit. And like I said, Magic just started to really settle for threes. The defense, it obviously wasn't as good as it was in the first half. I do think like Cade and Tobias Harris, especially Tobias Harris, just made some tough shots that were like defended pretty well. Like Tobias was just hitting like turnaround after turnaround from that left hash. But like Paolo Banchero, 9 turnovers in this game. How many of those came in the second half? Yeah, 5 of those came in the second half. The Magic had 19 turnovers in this game. 10 of those came in the second half. They shot 12 of 39 from the floor, 5 of 23 from deep, and allowed Detroit to shoot 53% in the second half, and just really didn't have enough offense, and the defense just wasn't quite good enough in the second for the Magic. And I think the 9-point lead they had, I believe, was in the third quarter. I think it was a 6-point lead at the half. But yeah, like, to me, tonight was, when we talk about I meant to shout this out a little bit earlier, but Brandon Jones, kind of part of our team here, is ORL_analytics on Twitter. We've shared the article and retweeted it and everything. He wrote a really, really, really good piece, kind of taking like some of the more advanced and like nuanced, basketball, analysis, and does a good job of breaking it down so that, even Kevin and I could understand it. But like tonight, to me, it was just, it felt like guys out there not really knowing what to do with the basketball, guys standing around watching. And it just felt kind of like a glorified, pickup game on the Magic's behalf. Especially the second half offense of just kind of not having a rhyme or reason for anything that we were doing, just out there, trying to make something happen and struggling to do so. But 9 turnovers from Paolo Banchero. Turnovers for Paolo have been a season-long problem. At some point, like, they've been worse than others. Like, he has 0 turnovers against the Rockets, has 9 turnovers against the Pistons. Yeah. It's really hard to get into an offensive rhythm when your best player is giving up the ball that much and you're giving the other team extra possessions. Like, the Magic only shot 6 more free throws in this game than the Pistons did, but the Pistons had 16 more field goal attempts in this game. And yeah, the Magic shoot below 40% as an offense, which is horrible. But it's not like they were shooting the crap out of the ball. Detroit, they were 45% from the floor and 13% from 3. Like, that is most cases, and you hold them to 106. Like, that's got to be a good enough defensive effort. Offense just wasn't good enough tonight by a mile.
Yeah, it was truly atrocious, right? Like, I mean, the stats, like you said, are just insane. 29 of 77 from the field in this game. That is 30. How do you shoot 37% from the field in the year of our Lord 2026 in the NBA? It's just crazy. Like, and you'd think at some point we'd be used to it as Magic fans because our teams have just shot horribly for years now. But it still just grinds my gears nights like tonight. Like, how does that happen? When you look around the league, I mean, even the Pistons tonight, they didn't shoot the ball great, 45%. I'm honestly surprised it was that high. Like, they did not shoot the ball well either. I mean, again, they started like 0 of 15, 0 of 16 from 3, something like that. It's just painful, and that's where it almost feels like a curse, because it doesn't matter what players we've had over the last several years. It doesn't matter what coach we've had over the last several years. The offense has just been horrible for a whole decade. And I thought this was the year it was going to turn around. And statistically, it obviously has improved, but it certainly has not turned around, because we're still having nights like this where we make 29 field goals in 48 minutes. That is truly crazy. I mean, that is just a disgusting number. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know how much else there is to say. Like, Desmond, 5 of 14, coming off of like not only one of like the best Februaries in Magic history, but like in terms of shooting efficiency and volume and scoring, one of the best Februaries in the history of the NBA. Desmond Bane just had, which is like, maybe as good as that guy was shooting the ball, maybe we should have gave it to him even a little bit more. That, maybe that's a conversation for another time, but he was bad in this one. 5 of 14, only 1 of 3. Like, I love Jalen. He's 4 of 13 from deep. we can't have Jalen come back into the starting lineup, him get 13 3-point attempts, and Desmond Bane get 3. That
Right.
just cannot happen. Jalen, 4 of 17. A lot of those, it felt like came later in the game. I'm going to sort this and see if we can take a look at the 1 of 5 from deep in the fourth quarter. Let's see the third quarter. Yeah, 1 of. So he was 2 of 10 from deep in the second half. So a lot of that, kind of coming later in this game, and he's forcing it right now. It doesn't have it again. I think it would be great if Franz was back in the lineup right now, because then Jalen would basically be like the fourth option offensively, and maybe could pick his spots a little bit better. And I think it's a mixture of feeling the need for more scoring with not only Franz out, but Anthony Black out as well. And he just so badly wants to contribute to this team and help them win. And he's got to be frustrated with the season that he's had, maybe not only because of his performance, but the way that, his health has been. So he's just got to ease up a little bit and let the game come to him. And like he had a early 3 in this game. Like I think the Magic, it was either like a 3-on-4, maybe it was like a 4-on-3 where they had numbers, and he just pulled up and it went in. Yep. But like, you like it when it goes in, but it's also not the right play to take that shot with 19 seconds left on the shot clock. Javon Carter, 1 for 6, Wendell, 2 for 6. Paolo was 5 of 10, 13 of 16 at the free throw line, 11 rebounds. Basically all of that gets canceled out by 9 turnovers. Like, you probably didn't give up. We'd have to take a look at like their points off turnovers. You probably didn't give up, 24 points on those 9 turnovers. But like, to me, that 9 turnovers, almost having a triple double with, turnovers being one of the doubles, that negates almost everything else that you do in a game. Your team cannot get a rhythm when you're turning the ball over at that rate. And you're just giving the other team extra possessions and opportunities to score points. So I think for me, like the one like real silver lining in this game was Tristan da Silva, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Basically had a flawless first half. I think he missed 1 field goal in the first half, but was just so good and was really good basically this entire game. Would like to see more out of that out of Tristan. The biggest thing with him this year has just been the inconsistency, which is not rare for a role player. But yeah, just a awful, horrid, whatever type of negative adjective you want to use about the offense in this one.
I have a big problem, Jonathan. I have a lot of problems, but one of the biggest problems I have with this team right now, one of the saving graces for this team, go back to 2023-24 for sure, and then a little bit last year, was the bench. Like the starters could be miserable. We had not so many. We had several times in 2023-24 where the starters just didn't have it, and the bench would save the day and single-handedly win basketball games. We have fallen so far from that. I mean, looking a night like tonight would have been a perfect night. Like the offense from the starters was so bad. Wouldn't you love to have a bench that can come on the floor and turn the game around? But instead, the bench tonight scored 14 points. 14 bench points tonight. And if you're like, oh, that's bad, that's borderline normal right now. Like we are in like low 20s these days with the bench scoring. Like, and the problem is that there are zero solutions. We at one point had light at the end of the tunnel, right? And I guess at some level we still do, because if and when Franz comes back, then Anthony Black could go to the bench and then hopefully lift the bench unit. But even that's not going to redeem some of these guys, right? Javon Carter is streaky. Love what we've seen from him so far, but he is streaky. Jet Howard is not good. Jonathan Isaac is typically not good. Mo Wagner hasn't looked the same. Jace played 3 minutes tonight. Goga, Noah, not even seeing the floor. Like, this bench unit feels hopeless. Even more so than the starters to me. Like, I know the starters have the greater impact, but this bench, I see zero hope for this bench this season and beyond. Like I don't know what the answer is for this bench, but it is truly atrocious. It has been so bad, so consistently bad all season. And that's honestly the biggest thing I'm looking forward to not seeing. Like, get me to the offseason just so I don't have to watch this bench unit anymore, because it is just so bad this year.
So just to give you an idea, I'm pulling up both units, like net ratings and such, and I think everybody would agree part of the problem is that there has been like no consistency in either of the lineups because of the injuries all year. And for the most part this season, the bench has been playing without either their like best like one or best two potential bench players in like Anthony Black and Tristan Da Silva. Like one of those two guys has been starting almost, it feels like, every game this season, or at least 80 to 90% of those games. Right now, this year, Magic starters, and this is just general starters. This isn't like specific lineups. It's just you take the starting lineup from every single game, which has been a ton of different lineups. The Magic are 16th in net rating. Let's see. Yeah, I'm taking. Yeah, they're 16th in net rating with a positive 0.2. But the bench is 18th in the league in just bench play with a negative net rating of 0.1. Going back to previous years, last year bench was also kind of a struggle, which I think why the Magic were fine, or Magic fans were fine with moving on from guys like Cole Anthony, like Gary Harris.
Yep.
Last year they were 18th, negative 0.8. The year before that they were 7th with a positive net rating of 1.8.
Yep.
So
let me just add to the stats. While you were looking that up, I went on StatMuse just to figure out just the scoring numbers, right? Because I think that's the biggest struggle of this whole team, but especially the bench, is just scoring. There's no scoring. And so I was like, how do the Magic stack up against the rest of the league when it comes to bench scoring? So top team in the league so far this season, the Golden State Warriors, 44.7 bench points per game. That's insane. You go middle of the pack, that's the like Celtics and Bucks. They're around 37 points per game. On StatMuse, I'm not a paid subscriber, so I can't see the whole list. But this list goes all the way to NBA. Hold on, my punchline. Okay. We go all the way to 25 on this list. The Magic still aren't there. So I know they're bottom 5 in bench points. I just don't know how far they are. Where are they?
They're 27th.
Yeah. What's the number?
31.0. Like 31 on the nose.
Oh, that's different than mine, because I've got the Rockets at 25th in the league at 28.7 points per game, bench points per game. So who knows which one is right? But
yeah, Houston's at 28.7. They're dead last, according to NBA.com.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So maybe StatMuse is just cutting certain teams. But yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that not surprising, though, how bad this bench has been scoring the basketball.
I mean, we go back to the trade deadline, and, almost every other team in the league, and basically every team in our division, made moves that you're like, okay, that makes that team like at least marginally better. And the Magic didn't. Now they did do the move, in getting Javon Carter, which I think they deserve credit for. And there have been some games where he's been phenomenal, and it's been a great pickup. There are other games where it's like, okay, like, and I don't mean this disrespectfully at all, but like you can see why this guy was a guy who was available on waivers, right? Like he's streaky, and for a team like Chicago, who had like a ton of young guards, when they're looking at like, hey, who do we give an opportunity right now? Like he's a guy that like just kind of is what he is at this point, in his career, and it was the oldest guard that they had on the roster. So the Magic just need more. And again, this isn't a knock on Javon Carter as much as it is like the way that the bench has been constructed. The Magic need more than Javon Carter, and I think that was really obvious to pretty much about everybody. What they were banking on was that they were about to get Franz Wagner back, and that would have pushed Anthony Black and Tristan Da Silva back to the bench unit. And I would be interested to see how many minutes we've seen both Anthony Black and Tristan da Silva come off the bench. Or I guess we could just look at how many, total minutes this starting unit has been healthy, which we all know is like next to nothing at this point. So it's kind of a thing where like we've really never got an opportunity to see how good this bench could be, especially when we were force feeding Tyus Jones into the lineup for, the first 45 to 50 games of this season. Like it kind of feels like with the injuries and also that element, like which the Tyus Jones element to me was significant. This bench has been set up to fail this season. So to me it's not really a shock that they're as bad as they are, because they've been playing multiple guys down. They've been giving their best bench players to the starting unit all year, but there are a lot of like deep problems with this roster right now, and this organization has its work cut out this offseason.
Yeah. So Anthony Black has started 38 games, and Tristan da Silva has started 18 games. So do the math. That's 56 games. And the Magic have played what? Where are we? Here we are. The Magic
There's a good amount where they
59.
both started, with Jalen and Franz being out, but like
sure.
I would guess probably like 85 to 90% of the games this year, one of those two guys has had to start.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that one of those guys at least have been in the starting lineup. 50, what did I already forgot? 56 out of the Magic have played 59 games. So one of those guys have been in the starting lineup for, not necessarily, that's not true. There were games where they were both in the starting lineup, but still, regardless, it's just crazy.
I'm not a mathematician and I'm not always right, but I would bank on at least 85% of the games that Magic have played this year, one of those two guys has had to start.
Yeah.
So
wild.
Okay. Do we want to take a look at the week ahead? I think that's really, or is there anything else you want to talk about?
I have just one tiny thing,
yeah,
but it's related to the week ahead. You and I have talked about it off air. We've talked about it one or two times, maybe on air, but I just have to reemphasize just period. I have to reemphasize because this is do or die time. The month of March is awful. The Magic play 17 games in the month of March. They have 4 back-to-backs if you include the March 31st to April 1st. I think it's 4. Or maybe it's 5 if you include. I think it's 5 if you include that. It is. It's 5. It's 4 in the month of March and 5 if you include March 31st to April 1st. Brutal. The Magic play 17 out of 31 nights in March. It's an awful, awful schedule. So we talked about earlier about you could find yourself slipping really fast. That's why this week is important, because this week you've got a little bit of breaks. You do have a back-to-back this weekend, but you've got home games here to start it off, 2 very winnable ones. And yeah, with that, I guess we go to the week ahead. Washington, Dallas at home, then Minnesota, Milwaukee back-to-back this weekend. Yeah. How would you go first this week? What you got?
Oh, man, I wish I could turn the part of my brain off and the part of my heart that's like the eternal optimist and like just, wants to see this team turn around. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to go with what this team has showed us the last essentially 3 months now. I'm going to say 2-2. I'm going to how have these teams been playing recently? Let's take a quick look here. Dallas is 2-8, and Washington is 3-7. Kevin, I really want to tell you that the Magic are just going to come out and you know what? Milwaukee's 6-4 in their last 10.
Mm.
I'm going to say you beat Washington and Dallas, and you lose to Minnesota and Milwaukee.
Okay, so you lose that back-to-back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though the Magic have been like very good this year on the second night of a back-to-back.
They have. Here's what I'm going to say. I think the Magic beat the Wizards. Number one, because they should. Number two, because it's the second night of a back-to-back for the Wizards. They are in Houston the night before. That's not easy. I'm going to say that... Oh, wait. The next one's the Dallas game. I almost got it backwards. I'm going to say that the Magic will... I'm going to pick the Magic to... I'm going to say we're going to lose to the Mavericks. Yep, I said it. Just because why not? I think the Magic... Oh, wait. The Minnesota game is next. That's that weird afternoon Saturday game. Not a back-to-back for Minnesota. I'm going to say the Magic lose to Minnesota. And then I am going to pick the Magic to beat the Bucks next Sunday. It is also going to be the second night of a back-to-back for the Bucks in that one. So at least both teams have a back-to-back. I'll say 2-2, but I'm going to pick us to bookend it. So beat the Wizards, lose to the Mavericks and the Timberwolves, beat the Bucks. That's where I'm going.
So that would put us at 33-30 with
correct
19 games to go.
Yep.
And, at that point, let's do a quick thought exercise. I want to take a look at some of the schedules for the teams that are around us in the standings.
I just did that. I pulled up Philly's schedule. Yeah, how about that?
Philly this week. They were beating Boston the last night. They're losing to Boston now. They've got San Antonio. That's probably a loss for them. They've got Utah, and Atlanta. So they're probably going like 2-2 this week as well. So you don't make up any ground there. And again, in this thought exercise, Toronto's got New York, Minnesota, Dallas, and Houston. Maybe they go 2-2. I mean, I think they could go 1-3 this week. Like those are, like they could lose to New York and Minnesota and Houston. Obviously, there's schedule stuff for both teams. Take a look at Miami. They've got Brooklyn, Charlotte, and Detroit. So at best, you feel like they're probably going 2-2 there. So you might be okay. Maybe not lose, some, any of your lead on the Heat. The Hawks have Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Dallas, Brooklyn. They're, 2-2. Maybe they find a way to go 3-1. You could talk me into 1-3 either way. The Charlotte Hornets, who are like continue like really, really strong play, obviously, came out of the All-Star break, lost a couple there, but now they've won 4 in a row, kind of getting back to their stride, like, beating bad teams, but, they're beating them, pretty handedly. They've got Dallas, Boston, Miami, and Phoenix. They could go 2-2. They could go 3-1. They went 4-0 this week. It wouldn't be like the biggest shock in the world. Like, I went through all of that just to say, like, the Magic are just running out of time. They're running out of time, and they're running out of opportunity to win games and, to kind of catch these teams. Where are you in your confidence meter at this point in terms of, like, if I was just going to say play-in or no play-in for the Magic?
I mean, you're 2 games back of the Sixers as we record this. Could be a game and a half, depending if the Sixers end up losing this game, which they're losing right now.
Do not have any games left against
correct
Philadelphia.
Yep. And I believe you lost the tiebreaker 2-1 or 1-2.
And you have, according to Tankathon, you have the 21st easiest schedule remaining. Only teams that are have easier schedules that are relevant to this conversation: Miami, Milwaukee. I don't think we're catching Detroit, New York, or Cleveland at this point. So
I don't think so either, brother.
Just Miami and Milwaukee as of right now. That changes on a nightly basis, but those 2 teams have easier schedules. And at the top of this conversation, like, Charlotte has the 9th toughest remaining. Philadelphia has the 13th, and Toronto has the 14th. Atlanta has the 18th.
Even before you said those numbers, I was actually gonna say I still have a naive confidence that this team will end up as the 6th seed. And hearing those numbers makes me feel even more so. I still think they're going to do it. It's not going to be pretty, and it's probably going to be less about the Magic and equally as much about the Sixers. I just don't believe in the Sixers. I believe the Sixers are going to hit a losing streak at some point over the next 20 games or whatever is left, and the Magic are going to do just enough to eke out ahead of them. Again, we're talking a game and a half right now. Like this is not like the Magic don't need some kind of crazy comeback. Like they just need to play 500 basketball and the Sixers play just under 500 basketball. So
Yeah.
I still am probably naively confident that the Magic will end up as the
If you were giving me a percent, what's is it 70%?
65 is the number in my head.
65. So 65-35. So
yeah.
Again, I don't think we're catching Toronto. I think right now the goal for the Magic should just be get out of the play-in, be the 6th seed.
Yep.
So if we're really only focusing on Philadelphia because they're the team that's ahead of us, they're going to lose to Boston most likely here. They did lose to Boston.
16. Okay, yeah, no,
that game has finalized.
Yep.
Then they've got San Antonio, Utah, Atlanta, Cleveland, Memphis, Detroit, Brooklyn, Portland, Denver, Sacramento, Utah, but then they have a pretty tough stretch to close the season. Home for OKC, home for Chicago, at Charlotte, at Miami, at Washington, home for Minnesota, home for Detroit, at San Antonio, at Houston, and then at Indiana, home for Milwaukee. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Probably 9 of those. What did I say? 21 or 22?
22.
9 of those games where I would no brainer pick Philadelphia. Those other 12, 13 games are definitely losable. Wins, losses never break out as simple as that. But yeah, we said they just lost. So they are now, did this finalize yet? 33 and 26? 33 and 27.
Yep.
So they have 21 games left. So yeah, if they go 10 and 11.
Oh, wait, 22 games, yeah.
22 games, whatever. Yeah, 22 games. So if they go 10 and 12, the Magic have 19 games left. Probably have to go 11 and 8, I think, if the math is correct, to catch them.
Mm-hmm.
What's your confidence level that the Magic can go 11 and 8, given the schedule that they have to close the year, which is Washington, Dallas, Minnesota, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Washington, Miami, Atlanta, OKC, Charlotte, Lakers, Pacers, Cavs, Kings, Raptors, Suns, Hawks, Mavericks, Pelicans, Pistons, Wolves, Bulls, Celtics. It's possible.
Yep. I'm sticking with my 65%. I feel okay with it.
I think it has to play out pretty close to that scenario. Pistons. Philadelphia goes 10 and 12, Magic go 11 and 8 rest of the way, and that's how you end up as the 6th seed. Something to that effect.
Yeah, something
like pretty close to that.
Right.
I don't think you have more than a game either way. Anything outside of that, and you probably come up a little bit short. But
yeah, and again, the Magic don't own the tiebreaker with the Sixers,
right.
So you have to be a game better than them, which is highly unfortunate, even though you beat them by 41 once upon a time or whatever that was. That was a good time back in the day. Yeah.
Look, it's not impossible, but I'm kind of if I had to pick, I'm probably 60-40 the other way, that the Magic still end up in the play-in because they've just played 500 basketball now for 3 months, and unless Franz comes back at the 4-week mark, which would be the last 12, 13 games. Because then, if everybody's healthy, it feels so stupid every time we say that. But 13 games to go, you could run off a 9-4, kind of run to end the season with games against Indiana, Sacramento, Atlanta, Dallas, the Pelicans, the Bulls. I just named, how many games, would that be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like that's like 6 wins that you like really should just be able to take care of business and get there down that stretch. And then, you've got games against like Toronto, Phoenix, like those kind of games. Like you got another, one against Detroit that we saw like tonight. Like we can hang with them.
Yep.
In the right context. But okay. Yep. This has kind of gone off the rails a little bit towards the end here, but this whole season has kind of gone off the rails a little bit. So it is what it is. Anything else, Kev, that you want to discuss before we wrap it up? Okay, don't forget, watch party Saturday. Magic versus the Wolves. That's a 3:00 tip-off. We'll be at Stadium Club located in Caribe Royale, Orlando, the resort there. Check out Brandon Jones' article. It's on our Twitter. If you haven't seen that already, maybe we'll go ahead and pin that for the next couple of days if you want to check that out. That is going to do it for this one. For Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to the Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!